Hey folks, welcome back to Chronic Pillness. This is a new podcast on medical abuse, iatrogenic harm, things along that nature. We want to get to the true cause of disease, illness, chronic illness, mental illness, addiction. All these things are intertwined. Most of these illnesses, the idiopathic illnesses, meaning of unknown origin, the origin's actually known by the powers that be. Most of them have pathogenic causes, be it parasitic or fungal or something along those lines. Today I am really honored to bring on Hunter. Hunter and I started talking back in like September, October the first time, and he has a really incredible testimony with his life with health problems and when he became aware that parasites were truly driving all this. So I need to let everybody know that I've been getting hit by directed energy weapons quite a bit today, this afternoon. And so if I start getting really drowsy and getting I'm not there in the moment, I apologize. I'm doing my best to defend myself against them. Typically, I'm listening to music on my headphones, but I need the music, or I need the headphones to hear Hunter. So, anyways, the headphones typically cancel out the directed energy weapons. But anyways, Hunter, it's really great to have you on, man. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, so I guess I'll just kind of start with my background and um, you know, generally I've been kind of an on and off sick kid growing up. Um, Generally, I'm quite normal most of the time, but just once a year or twice a year. And it kind of started when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I just got hit with such severe disease. And it was always a very, very, very cataclysmic event, and each time it would get kind of worse and worse and worse. And sometimes it was like just the flu, but it was a really, really bad case. Or sometimes it was like I've had autoimmune diseases. When I turned 18, I actually had a very bad autoimmune disease that they couldn't diagnose for a while. And when they finally told me what it was, just some kind of random German name that I can't even say. Um, and I had like red blotches all over my skin, all over my legs. And this was when I turned 18. What they told me about that was there's no cure to it. Basically, I just have to.
What year was this when you were 18? How old are you now?
It's 11 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the most severe impact. Though I've had severe cases before, but this was the most severe impact on my life, where I was told literally anyone who gets this disease after 18 years old has a 50% chance to live.
Wow.
And so that's what I was told.
Wow.
And it took me about 3 or 4 months to actually recover from that. And ever since, I've been very hyper vigilant of my health,
Yeah.
and hyper aware of the things that are affecting me. And so that's actually when I started on a carnivore diet. And I that was initially when I started to see a lot of different health effects just from cutting carbohydrates from my life. But don't get me wrong, like the carnivore diet is okay, but it's not a long-term sustainable diet. It's a temporary treatment protocol to kind of flush out your system of bad chemicals and uh, uh, carbohydrates that are stored in your insulin and your fats. Um, and so basically from that point on, I was just more and more uh, uh, determined to understand health, understand nutrition, understand the causes behind certain things, understand why I keep getting sick and how I could prevent it. And I did notice a lot of changes just by changing my nutrition, but it was never quite enough. I would still get sick, and when I got sick, it was still quite severe, though it never became that severe again after I changed my nutrition, except for about a year and a half ago. So leading up to this, essentially, I have a dog. I got a dog about a year prior, and I noticed his health actually starting to decline, just progressively, and very, very, very subtly, but progressively until it was like he seemed like he was dying, really. And I'm not one. I don't really have a lot of money, but I'm not really one to go to a doctor or go to a vet. So I kind of passed it off like it wasn't a big deal. But it was such a subtle change, subtle, that I just didn't really notice it until someone mentioned it to me. And they mentioned that, hey, are you getting your dog and deparalyze or parasites? Are you getting rid of the parasites? Are you giving him antiparasitics? And so I did that. I tried that. I gave my dog antiparasitics, and I saw him, for lack of a better word, I saw him poop out just a cluster of worms. And these were like large worms like this.
Right.
I believe they're called ascaris.
Yeah.
And that kind of left an impression on me. And then I noticed about a month later, I started to get these kind of weird symptoms myself, where like symptoms that I've never really experienced before, in such that like weird digestive issues, weird tingling on my skin, um, uh, just worse sleepless nights. And really like all my other symptoms that I generally had kind of escalating. And so I kind of from that experience, from seeing it in my dog, I became suspicious that maybe he gave me parasites or something. And so I kind of passed that off. Like I had that in my mind, but I didn't believe that it was like a possibility for some reason. Like I didn't believe that that I did have parasites. I didn't believe that that this issue that I was having was not going to go away. I kind of just thought, okay, I'd get better. It's just like a temporary thing. I was going through a lot of hardships in my life. Maybe it's just stress. Maybe it's just a little bit of depression. And so I just let it go until it continued to progress and to continue to progress and continue to get worse until it became a severe problem. And this is what I mean by like, I didn't have a severe problem until this moment, where literally I would be awake for 2 hours and it felt like I had been awake for 18 hours, 24 hours, 32 hours. Like I was exhausted. I was anemic. My face was flush. I had terrible. It was like black eyes, eyeshadows, just every worst thing, and it felt like my organs were shutting down. I felt like I was going to die. And so, despite my resistance to going to doctors, to going to seek help, I just had to. I had to go to a doctor because I couldn't explain what was happening to me. But I had this suspicion that it was parasites, just because I saw it from my dog. And so I went to the doctor, and at this point, I didn't know anything about parasites. I knew about these parasites that my dog pooped out, and I thought maybe I had those. Um, and so I mentioned that to the doctor. I said, this is the medicine I gave my dog. Can you prescribe me that medicine? Because I'm basically seeing the same symptoms I saw in my dog and myself. And the doctor basically looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, they looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about,
Yeah.
parasites? And then they wanted to do, even though, I the nurse, when she checked me in, and I mentioned her parasite, she's like, "Oh yeah, you look like you're white as snow. You got terrible black eyes. Like yeah, you got something bad."
Yeah.
Um, so like the nurse was even visually like she noticed it. She told me about it, and I went to this doctor, and this doctor told me that it could just be like a blockage in my intestine, like I have a constipation problem or something. That didn't make any sense to me.
No.
And she wanted to do x-rays on me. And so she ordered all these tests, but I was persistent on getting the parasite stuff. So she's like, okay, you can poop in this cup, and 3 weeks later we'll let you know if you have parasites. Well, as I said, I was about to die. I was
Right.
as sick as can be. I didn't have 3 weeks to wait to be told if I have something or not. I needed to be treated right away, and the doctor didn't want to treat me right away. So I went home. I did the cup thing. I sent it to the lab, and then I was like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait 3 weeks. I went online. I found out that you can order ivermectin. There's pharmacies in Florida.
Hmm.
Get a prescription, and so I did that. I ordered it on Rush. I got it a couple days later,
Hmm.
and I took the medicine, and I had a violent reaction to it, a very, very violent reaction to it. I was vomiting. I was sweating. I couldn't get up. And when I looked it up, what are the symptoms of ivermectin? What happens when you take ivermectin? And it's like nothing happens. But if you have parasites and the parasites die inside of you, you will react to the parasites. So that
Yeah.
confirmed I
Yeah.
had parasites.
Yeah. So you were
Um,
having a Herxheimer reaction because the parasites were freaking out and dying and like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
get
yeah.
paralyzed, and then
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
body doesn't recognize that it
Yeah.
even has them
Yeah.
until they're paralyzed and dying.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your body's freaking out, like, oh my God, I have all this foreign material in me that I
Yeah.
didn't even know I had in me. Um,
And that's
so
an important point for anybody who's just going through this healing process is that you are going to feel worse before you feel better when you start your anti-parasite protocols.
yeah, yes,
But once you get over that hurdle, it's an incredible hurdle.
yes. So and I'll get to the life changes that I've had.
Yeah, please.
Um, but just going into a little bit more about like the treatment, I was very after that experience, I was very hesitant to keep continuing to take medicine. So I kind of off and on, I would take a little bit and then I would stop and I would take a little bit. But each time I stopped, I noticed my symptoms increasing again.
Hmm.
And it was like subtle things. And each time I took it, like I got a little bit more better. And then I could tell like these tiny little symptoms rising back up and like things that I didn't even recognize were part of parasites. So I'll talk about the changes in my life. First of all, like you'll notice I have facial hair. 6 months ago, I couldn't even grow
Right.
facial hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
6 months ago, I could not even grow it. I had terrible dandruff. I had terrible back acne. When I was younger, I had terrible face acne, and I would still get face acne. I had sleepless nights, like where I would wake up groggy. I had depression on periods. I had like a manic depression episodes throughout my life. Uh, Anxiety, brain fog, brain stress. So if I used my brain too much, I would get stressed out and I couldn't use it anymore. It would just become exhausted. And literally all of these things have been cured from my life. Every single one of them. And that was just removing parasites. I don't get depression anymore. I can sleep fine, though it's so complicated. It's such a incredible world that's just right under our nose. Um, when I was first really taking the medicine, and I really invested time into a full protocol. I was taking it for weeks with a high dosage, um, uh, which is a lot higher than what the CDC recommends, and what the CDC recommends is inadequate. Sorry,
Right.
I don't think I'm allowed to say that, but it is.
Yeah.
Um, they recommend 6 milligrams a day until they don't show up in your poop anymore.
No,
And
no,
when
no.
they're not showing up in your poop, it doesn't mean they're gone. It just means that you don't have a super high load anymore. Their protocol is literally just to suppress it until you
Hmm.
stop complaining, and
Hmm.
then allow it to reinfest and reinfect and spread. Um, so. When I was first really, really getting into the medicine, um, about 2 weeks into it, I actually got all of these like welts across my arms, all across my arms, and they kind of scabbed up, but not like a real scab. It kind of just like rubbed off these welts, and underneath them there were like little black hairs, and come to find out that those were nematode strongyloids. So I had nematode strongyloids literally coming out of my skin, and I was just pulling them out of my skin. A week later after that, my lungs felt like pussy. My lungs felt like I couldn't breathe. They were dying in my lungs. So the life cycle of this nematode that almost killed me, it injects itself into your skin. It goes down your bloodstream. It enters your lungs. It molts. It climbs up your esophagus. You swallow it. It goes into your stomach, and then it finds its way into your intestines, and then it sticks itself into your intestines, and that's its life cycle. And then unlike other nematodes, where they need to come out of your poop and then reinfect you through the environment, these ones actually breed and infest within you and
Yeah.
then spread throughout your body. Um, and what I noticed is also, a lot of these symptoms that I had and got rid of, I had throughout my entire life. So what I think is that I had parasites from childhood, and then at some point these strongyloids entered my life and just made everything worse. And that's when I was awoken to this world of microbial life that is here to infect us and suck our soul straight out from within us. Um, going back, as I was taking the medicine and I was getting these symptoms where I was pulling worms out of me and my lungs were feeling heavy. I because of that, I just kept taking the medicine because if they're dying out inside of me, regardless of it being worse, clearly it's working. And so I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then all of a sudden, I just became like aware of their movements around me. I could feel them on my skin. I could feel them trying to poke inside of me. The most traumatic experience was all of a sudden when I would go to bed in my mattress. I could feel them crawling into my ears. I could feel them crawling into my nose. I could feel them sticking themselves into my eyes, and then other places too, down there and back there. They are virulent. They are so incredibly infectious, so incredibly uh, uh, just terrible, terrible
They're
beings. And it was
monsters. They're demons.
they are. Yes, they are the spawns of demons,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Um, and it was such a traumatic experience
Hmm.
that like all of a sudden this was happening to me. And at first I thought it was like a new thing that was happening. Like I thought, okay, because I'm taking the medicine, they're like leaving my body and now they're in my environment.
Right.
But as I came to understand them more, I realized they were always there for however long that they've been there, and it's just that I've just become sensitive to them, and I've just become aware of them. And as I understood them more, and I cleared them out of my immediate surroundings, and I figured out how to kill them, which I'll get into a little bit as well. It became apparent to me, especially because before I really understood what was happening and how prevalent they were and how much they spread and how infectious they were. I had company at my house, and I have since realized that like this isn't just happening to me. This is happening to people all over the country,
Oh, yeah.
and they just are unaware of it.
Yeah.
And
Completely.
that's how.
And so is the medical community, it's
Yeah, well, I read a study, I believe it was about 20 years ago, where they took a sample size of where they tried to determine how much of the population in my region of the country was actually infected with these. And they determined that it was an endemic uh, disease, the strongyloidiasis. They determined that so many people have this problem that needs to be declared endemic so that doctors become aware of it, so that doctors can diagnose it, and so doctors can treat it properly. And that was about 20 years ago. And no such action has been declared. No declaration of endemic has been declared. And if for people who don't know what endemic is, because you hear these words pandemic, endemic, epidemic, an endemic disease like the flu, like the cold virus, like COVID or corona, which is just a variant of cold, by the way. Those are all endemic, and what that means is that it's here to stay. It means that enough of the population has it, and it's spreading enough that they can't get rid of it, and they want to declare it endemic so that people can be treated for it. But that was 20 years ago, and no such thing. And every time I go to a doctor, I've been to a doctor 2 or 3 times, and they have no clue what I'm talking about. They either act like they don't know what I'm talking about, or they actually don't know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And the only the only conclusion you can make of that is that they want it to spread, and they want it to infect the population. They want to spread disease.
Yeah.
And they've known about this. It's not a new thing. They've
No.
known about this since at least the 70s.
Oh, they've
That's
they've
where
been
this
planning this. Yeah. This,
Yes, yes. They've known about this since at least the 70s, and that's when I've read pretty much every single research paper on this because when I was being traumatized in my bed and attacked, like I had to know how to get rid
yeah.
of it. I had to know
Yeah.
how to fix it, and so I just kept reading and reading and reading and reading, and like back then, when they were first releasing the initial studies on these things, they were releasing basically fraudulent studies. The methodologies were inadequate for the conclusions that they were making. For example, they stuck two of them in a test tube, and then about 3 or 4 days later, they measured what kind of larvae were in there. They found that they were infectious larvae, and so they concluded, okay, these things only live for a generation. They all became infectious larvae, and they don't continue after that. Um, but the methodology of just sticking them in a test tube and then measuring them 3 days later, all it tells you is that if you put them in a confined space, their larvae will try to leave that space. And the things that I found about these things is they are colonizers, they are spreaders. They will go and infect and contaminate every single possible environment that they can, every micro environment. Um, I don't want to jump too far ahead. But I've spent a lot of time just researching them in my own home. I bought a microscope using a method that Royal Rife used to initially observe tuberculosis using a monochromatic polarized light. With a polarized film on the microscope, I was able to make them highlight. I was able to make them light up like the 4th of July, essentially. And so these clear-bodied microscopic nematodes that normally they tell you need like a specialized doctor or a lab scientist to view them, and only like hyper specialized, trained people with hyper specialized technology you can see them. I was able to see them with about $700 worth of technology. And and what I've observed is that they are able to create a biofilm that sticks to surfaces, protects their larvae, protects their eggs, and makes them almost impossible to kill. And allows them to basically colonize any surface, any fabric, any synthetic where that they can bind to, and it binds most readily to these synthetic materials, plastics,
Carpet's the
um,
worst.
carpets. Honestly, any fabric I've found is really, really hard to get rid of them out of. I have spent the last 3 months just trying to figure out how to clear them out of my clothes. Because once you get adults in your clothes and they start laying eggs and they start binding to the fabrics, no matter how much you wash it, you steam it, they always come back. A lot of them will be unaffected. and they will reawaken and they will relay eggs. And then once they start laying eggs, like I said, the eggs are actually like pretty much indestructible. You can't
Yeah.
destroy the eggs. You have to destroy the larva, and you have to keep killing them before they lay the eggs. So I've spent like the last 3 months just trying to get them out of my dang clothes. And I've only recently started to become successful through using lye, which is like a something that people used to know about using lye. People talk about like old people talk about lye all the time,
Yeah.
and it just there's so many things like copper. Um, uh, there's so many methods that they have kind of taken away from our knowledge and taken away from our history. We have generations built upon finding these methodologies that work because they're practical solutions where you can observe the differences, and they have just wiped that out of our history, wiped that out of our education, and people are completely now incompetent to deal with these problems because they have no clue about any of these solutions, any of these age-old working methods. So that is a recent development. I've only really been able to wear clothes for the last like week because I just started using lye, and it was because I found a research paper on clearing wastewater from or clearing strongyloides from wastewater, and they were trying to find like an effective method to do it.
Well,
Um,
can I interject? I just have a question. So, can you explain exactly what lye is? I mean, everybody's heard of it, but I don't think hardly anybody knows exactly what it is.
Yeah, so soap is generally actually made out of lye. Soap is made out of lye and oil or fat mixed together. It's I forget exactly the chemical, it's sodium, something with an Na. Um, but it's just it's like a cleaning thing that people have used for centuries. For centuries, people have used lye to clean things, clean their clothes, clean their environment, to get rid of pests for centuries. And then all of a sudden, no one has access to lye anymore. No one uses it anymore. If you go and try to look up lye, you get all these like warnings. Oh, it's so dangerous to use lye. Don't use lye. Don't buy lye. But as long as like you're not touching it directly with your skin, there's no problem with it at all. Now, using it in like your washing machine, you might like erode the rubber in the washing machine um, like quicker than you would if you weren't using it. But it is literally the only effective method I have found to get rid of them out of my clothes. And it's not the fact that they are in my clothes is not like a thing that is only affected me. So like if they're in my clothes, then they're in other people's clothes too. I have found them just to list off. They were in my mattress, they were in my pillow, they were in my couch, they were in my carpets, they were in my drapes. So I want to go over that actually.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, the larva, they have a surface binding ability, and that's how they crawl up you. So when you touch them, they stick to your skin, and then they use like on your skin surface. You can't see it, but you always have like little microscopic sweat beads all across your skin. Because of your glands. And so, using their surface binding ability, they actually shoot up your body through these beads of sweat, and they can travel from your foot all the way up to your head within seconds.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just shoot up you. And so, using the surface binding ability that they actually have many things that they do with that. So, one of those things I was talking about how they're colony builders. They will once they've molted and they've left their nest essentially, they will start to try to find a new nest or a new host. And how they do that is they will pick just kind of a random direction. If you have like 10 of them, they'll go in 10 different directions. And what they'll do is they'll go straight in a line until they pick up a sense. And if they pick up no scents, they'll just keep going until they find a suitable location. And if it's not suitable enough, what they'll do is they'll literally just turn around. And this is all in the research paper. You can read this. This is how they travel. This is how they host seek. They go in a straight line and they settle in places that seem appropriate. And then if it's not appropriate enough, they'll just turn around. And so they'll use this surface binding ability as they're traveling to pick up like dust and dirt and hair, and they will actually cause these things to travel with them. And when they turn around and come back, they'll bring it back to their nest. And that'll expand their nest. It'll make it more filthy, more protective. It'll bring bacteria back for the other larvae. And so they use these methods to colonize. But the other thing about the surface binding ability is it's not just on the floor. It's not just with dust and dirt. It's not just on your skin. They can climb walls using their surface binding ability. They can climb the ceiling using their surface binding ability. And so I found them completely infested in all of my drapes. And since I've gotten the more I've gotten rid of them, the more I've realized how prevalent they are, because it just never stops. I get rid of them here and then I find them there, and I get rid of them here and I find them there. And part of their host-seeking behavior is that they will actually target you based on your temperature gradient. So they track you first through your saline deposits. So you go and step in places and you leave behind like residue. You leave behind proof that you've been there. They'll track you through those saline deposits. And then once they pick up on your heat temperature, then they target in on you and go straight after you. So bringing this back to the surface binding ability, where they climb up the wall and climb onto the ceiling, heat rises. So heat rises, your body temperature rises. If they're directly above you, they will literally just drop onto your head. And so I found them in my ceiling fans, I found them in my vents, and I've cleaned my floors down, and I was like, why do they keep ending up in my hair and I don't feel them coming up my body? And so I started looking in places on the ceiling, and I found them like in the cracks alongside the walls in the ceiling. I found them in the ceiling fan, and I figured out that they were literally dropping onto me using this temperature gradient. It's so I mean, it's not crazy, it's not insane, because it's the truth, it's reality. But it's so ridiculous just how contaminated they create in the environment, how virulent they are at targeting and infecting you everywhere you go, anywhere you go. And so what I want to say about that is because they are so prevalent, and because they are so expansive, and because they are so infectious, one of the things you have to be aware of is everything in your surroundings, what you are surrounding your body with. And I kind of want to talk about my framework of health for a second. A lot of people know at least a lot of people who start on their journey of health, they know you have to eat right and you have to physically exercise. And I want to just say that that's two parts of a three-part triangle of health. So if you think of health as a triangle, you have your nutrition, you have what you put in your body, and that's a direct output of what your body is able to regenerate. It's what it's able to produce. What you put in your body is what you get out of it. Your cells are constantly regenerating, and especially with these parasites, your immune system is constantly at work, and it's constantly collecting all of this garbage that it has to get rid of, and is damaging your body. And so your body has natural regeneration. But if you're not feeding it right, if you're not putting the right nutrients in it, which a lot of that is actually fats, because your cells are mostly fat, and if you're using like vegetable oil, those things are very highly oxidated. So your cells will break down a lot easier, and they'll start to not behave correctly. So you have to be very aware of what you're putting in your body, otherwise your body can't heal itself. And then physical activity, you have to train your body to be able to do things. You have to work a lot of your blood flow, like especially on your back, your blood doesn't naturally flow until you start moving.
Yeah.
And your blood flow, goes to your liver, goes to your kidneys. That's how you filter out your blood. That's how you get rid of all this garbage. If you're not moving, you're not getting rid of the garbage inside of you. So you have to be moving for your body to be able to effectively regenerate and to be able to just be able to train your body to actually exist in the world and move around properly. So those are the 2 points of a 3-point triangle. But if you're missing the third point, you're never going to get to a full healthy lifestyle. And the third point is where your body is. It's your environment. So to go over that again, it's what you put in your body, what you do with your body, and then finally where your body is. What is it? What is surrounding you? What are you exposing yourself to? For example, something that people aren't aware of. I just want to talk about. So people aren't aware that receipts are actually made of a type of plastic, a type of BPA plastic that absorbs readily into your skin and creates an estrogen-like chemical in your body that makes your body think it's pregnant. So a lot of people think that like a receipt is just a piece of paper that they print text on. That's not the case. What a receipt is, it's a piece of plastic that they burn. They literally laser burn the text into it, and it is a chemically absorbent, a highly, highly chemically absorbent piece of plastic. They ban BPA for food because it absorbs into the food. Well, it absorbs into your skin when you touch it and when you sweat on it. A lot of people use hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is usually isopropyl alcohol. First of all, isopropyl alcohol is completely useless against parasites. You've told me yourself you have observed them swimming around in
Yeah,
isopropyl
it's
alcohol.
true. It's true. Yeah.
And when you look into the chemical reactions, isopropyl alcohol is literally 100% ineffective against parasites. But what it also does is as soon as it touches your skin, it absorbs into your skin and goes into your liver. And then your liver is affected by this. It lowers your immune system, which makes you more susceptible to being infected and infested with parasites. But what it also does is wherever it absorbs onto your skin now becomes a hot spot to absorb other chemicals. So you see all these people, these cashiers, use the hand
Hand
sanitizer
sanitizer.
and then touch the receipt,
Hmm.
and they're kind of almost always like growing fat in weird places. It's
Yeah.
because their body thinks that they're pregnant.
Yeah.
It's because their body doesn't know why it has all this weird estrogen inside of it. And it's not normal estrogen. Like normal estrogen for women is kind of healthy. But when you get into the pregnant estrogen, which is a different type of estrogen, it tells your body that you are preparing to have life inside of you. And so you have to transform your body. And if your body is in a constant form of transformation, it's an unhealthy state.
Sure.
It's a state that you're not naturally supposed to be in. And especially men. Men are
Yeah.
not supposed to have pregnant estrogen inside of them. Um, so when I go to the grocery store, I don't ever touch a receipt.
Yeah.
They go to hand it to me. Usually they ask, but if they just go and hand it to me, I go, no,
Yeah.
you shouldn't even be touching that, man. You
Right.
should not be touching that. Because it is literally one of the worst things that people handle on a daily basis. So that's just an example of being aware of your environment. Um, I was talking about I found these strongyloid nematodes in my mattress, in my carpets, in my drapes, in my couch. I found them beneath dust. I found them in dirt. I found them just in cracks in the wall. But I've also found them in my keyboard. I found them in my mouse. I found them in pretty much every electronic I
Oh,
own. In
yeah.
my phone, especially. Every time I handle my phone, I get damn nematodes on me. And I wish I could throw all of these things out, but right now it's kind of important to my life. It's important to my job, my livelihood. I can't throw these things out because I otherwise I can't exist as a person. So, uh, like these things, like everything that you're surrounding yourself with, every single thing that you're surrounding yourself with, could be infecting you every time you handle it. It could be making you sick every time you handle it. And this is not just parasites, not just chemicals. There's also, energy, wavelengths, vibrations, 5G, things like that. Those are part of your environment, and those are
Bluetooth,
affecting your
radio
cells.
waves, yeah, microwaves,
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
exactly. So all of these things are part of what's affecting your health. And if you're missing that part of your health triangle, you're only going to be 2 of 3 parts way there, and you're never going to realize what it really means to be healthy. I was talking about how I got rid of all these symptoms. Literally, like people don't understand exactly that all of these symptoms that they have, all these tiny little symptoms, you use your brain a little bit too much, and so you get a little bit exhausted. You kind of feel sleepy in the middle of the day. Maybe you feel down some days. Maybe you feel a little stuffy. Maybe you can't sleep well. All of these things are related, and they are disease.
Yeah.
They're
It's your
not
body,
normal.
it's your body telling you you're diseased.
Exactly. Disease is literally a definition that is not your natural state of being. It is not your most healthy state of being. And so when you have any symptom at all, joint pain, inflammation, um, uh back pain, exhaustion, literally anything that you can think of that you're like thinking about, I don't like this, I don't like having this. That's a disease. You are
Yeah.
you, you are you're experiencing disease, and you're
Hmm.
not in your natural healthy state of being. um and people have accepted disease essentially as a
Yeah.
normal part of life
Yeah.
because everyone has it,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
not normal,
Oh,
and
I'm
you don't
depressed.
have
I'm
to have it.
tired. I've got anxiety, but so does everybody else. So I'll just go to Starbucks, get another latte, and be on with my day, and
It must
everybody's
be a
just
normal
accepted
part
it.
of life
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my friends all have it.
Right.
Everyone's talking about it on social media.
Right.
No one's telling me that it's wrong or
Yeah.
I don't have to have it.
Right.
The solution is to go talk to someone, have therapy, and they tell you, oh, it's okay,
Hmm.
and okay, I
Hmm.
feel a little bit better.
Hmm.
Um, these things are literally signs of disease,
Yeah.
and they're literally things that you don't have to have, and
Yeah.
they almost all have a singular cause. And that's part of the brainwashing that we've been pushed onto, is that you go to the pharmacy section of your store, and they have 20,000 different medicines for all 20,000 different symptoms that you can have.
Right.
And so you're led to believe that they're all isolated events
Right. Right. Right.
that have to be targeted separately. And
Hmm.
it's not the case. They almost all have a singular cause, and that
Exactly.
singular cause is generally parasites.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, and you can cure it. You can be free of it all at once, all at once. Um, and you know, people just aren't aware that that's even a possibility. They
Yeah.
aren't aware that like these little tiny symptoms that they have are even a problem. They have become conditioned to believe that's a normal part of life.
Yeah.
Weight management. If you can't manage your own weight, that's parasites.
Yep.
Um, I used to have terrible
Anemia,
stomach
like
bug.
everything, anemia, diabetes, this goes on and on. Parasites, mental illness, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, parasites.
Parasites,
Yeah.
parasites, parasites,
Parasites,
and
parasites, parasites.
there are a lot of different types of parasites. Uh, but right now, the one that I'm most concerned about is the one that almost killed me, the nematode strongyloid, which has been declared through research as should be declared endemic, which is spreading like wildfire in my region of the country and all around the country now. Um, I read a paper sort of recently that kind of opened my mind to what it really means. And it was a paper where the Israelis, and sorry if this is a little political, but the Israelis were concerned that strongyloids could be spreading from the Palestinians into Israel. And when I read the paper, um, they didn't propose like how they knew that they were there or how they knew to look for it in this certain place that they were looking, which they were looking in the seawater. But which goes to show how hardy these things are. They found them living in the seawater. Um, the only conclusion I could make that they knew to look for it, they knew how to look for it, they knew where to look for it, is that they were using it as a bioweapon against the Palestinian population to allow themselves to invade a weakened and diseased population.
Exactly.
So this regardless of where this strongyloid came from, it is being used as a bioweapon, which means it is a bioweapon. And the fact that they're allowing it to spread in our own native population without doing a single thing means that they are using bioweapons against us.
Bam. And
And
that has been happening. Well, it started in at least in World War II that were using parasites as a biological weapon. This is where delusional parasitosis became a psychiatric diagnosis, and restless leg syndrome became a neurological diagnosis. But both of these are due to parasites, and both of them, well, all cases of delusional parasitosis are from lab-grown parasites that are used as a biological weapon. And restless leg syndrome, most cases are also it's like a less severe form of delusional parasitosis. It's a slow trickle of parasites. And so these were everything indicates that these were perfected in subsequent military conflicts after World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and then unleashed on the civilian population. So we're under war. We're under attack right now.
and I've told you I read pretty much every single research paper there is out there, and almost every single research paper is useless to practical
Mhm.
effect. So like you can't
Mhm.
use that research paper to actually target and remove these things from your life. Like more than half of the research papers that I've read that weren't medical based, like medical case studies, where they're actually like doing studies on these nematodes, um, it was essentially like they were doing gain of function research. Which, if you don't know what that means, it means that they are attempting to make them worse and
Mhm.
make them hardier,
Oh.
make them more infectious, make them more prevalent. For example, I was just trying to figure out, okay, what temperatures can they live in? Will they die out in the cold?
Mhm.
Uh, the only research paper I could find besides like temperature gradient targeting and like optimal like where they
Mhm.
optimally colonize. The only research paper that I could find, they were zapping them with negative 80 degrees to just to see what would happen. And first of all, they were totally fine. You
Yeah.
zap them with negative 80 degrees, they're totally fine. What happens is that they turn in they prioritize infectious larvae, their IL-3 variant, which just as a background, these strongyloid nematodes have 6 different forms. They have 4 different larva forms and 2 different adult forms, and every single form has a different behavior than every
Mhm.
other form. So they're not simple creatures
No, they're not.
that are
They're very
microscopic. They're
complex.
very, very complex. They have 6 different behaviors, and I even surmise
And
that
they
they have
work
different.
together at the different stages. They work as a
Yes,
team, like it's a
yes, they do.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, I have observed that I believe that there's different even variants of the variants. I have observed. when I was when I was studying them under a microscope, every time I felt them stick themselves in me, which is like a little needle just being jabbed into you. Once you're sensitive to it and you're taking medicine that paralyzes them when they come into contact with you,
Yeah.
um, I would observe them, and what I would find is that you had one large one with
Hmm.
like a dozen tiny ones. So that they were traveling essentially in groups, and what I believe is like the large one was telling the rest of them when to inject inside of you. When it inject inside of you, all the other ones would inject inside of you. And what this does, it does a couple of things. First of all, it's a sensory overload, so you can't really tell what's going on. And then second of all, it is a tactic to avoid your immune system. So if you have all these small ones with a big one, your immune system is not going to be able to handle all of this viral
Right.
load entering your body
Right.
because it's just it's a mass attack. Like if you like you know anything about missile defense, you send one big
Right.
one,
Right.
it can
Right.
be
Right.
destroyed. But if you
Right.
send
Right.
a bunch of tiny
Right.
ones, a few of them can get through.
Right.
So that's one of their infectious tactics. And like I was saying, they're colony builders. So every single one of their larval forms has a part to play in building the colony,
Hmm.
and expanding their
Yeah.
population and becoming prosperous.
Yeah. And
Um,
if I can interject here, I also want to say that everything from my research indicates that the flu is not a virus, but rather a parasite, and that COVID was a bioengineered version of the flu. And neither of them are viruses, both of them are parasites.
yeah, well,
And so I just
um,
I want to put that out there on the record is that that's what everything indicates to me. So
what I believe is that parasites are the transfers of viral loads. So they eat bacteria, and bacteria are the ones that are generally generating viruses. This is actually in Royal Rife's research of tuberculosis. He found a bacteria of the tuberculosis, and it had a little viral load in it that it would excrete essentially and send into your cells. And since these parasites actually eat bacteria, when they enter your body, they are bringing that bacteria into you. They're bringing that viral load into you. And I just mentioned the study where they zapped them with negative 80 degrees and they became more prevalently infectious, which means that during the cold season, you have greater numbers of infectious larvae coming at you and infecting you. And so you have you have a lot more parasites coming into you during the cold season, which are going to bring in a lot more diseases during the cold season. So it could just be, yeah, you have a lot more parasites in you during the cold season because they're all prioritizing host-seeking behavior, and it could be that they're transferring a lot of these viral loads into you when they're infecting you. Um, but I agree,
we'll
like
see
it's
that
all,
the truth is coming.
yeah,
The more that we have conversations like this and stuff, and that people become aware of what's really going on and start checking their environment, and not everything's as it seems. They can't hold back the truth much longer. But yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
diabolical.
and the theory that viruses just spread through the air,
Yeah.
it's not a the air is not a conducive environment
Mm-mm.
for microbiology, micro life. Open air actually dries things out. The sunlight kills things.
Mhm.
So the general method of transferal has to be some sort of physical thing, and parasites make the most sense.
Yeah.
Um, Another study I read, they were essentially just injecting them with different hormones to see if they could force them into different variants. And they found that they could just turn L3s right into adults that started laying eggs using hormones.
Right.
So, um, like more than half of the papers I read as if they were pretending like it was a research, but it was actually a gain of function. Um, so all of this ties in together that they are allowing these things to spread. They are trying to figure out how to make them worse. If you go and you listen to what they're talking about at like the World Economic Forum, they want a population of less than what is it, 100 million or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We have 9 billion people on Earth.
Right.
9 billion. To get to
Yeah.
100 million, you have to have a mass extinction event. And they have been spreading these things. They've been spreading them since the 70s at the very
Hmm.
least. We have been
Absolutely.
aware that they are endemic for at least the last 20 years. And these things, they don't kill you right away.
No.
They slowly increase your symptoms, make you diseased. All of a sudden, you have this chronic problem. You have this problem you have to go to a doctor for that you have no idea where it came from. That was inside of you for most of your life, and it's just now able to uh, get past your immune system. It's just now able to spread throughout your body. And so they are literally killing us all off.
Yeah.
And they will kill us all off if people do not open up their minds and realize the condition that has been forced upon them. We are being forced into disease.
Mm.
And when you think about that, nematodes, they're not bacteria, they're not viruses, they are creatures, they are animals. They are the Animalia sorry, my dog. They are in the Animalia kingdom. They are literally other animals that they are feeding us to. They are feeding us to animals. And that means that they believe we are animals. They know that we're their slaves, and it's very obvious that we're their slaves. Our entire economic system is based on debt.
Yep.
If our system does not increase its debt, it literally collapses. You'll hear people talk about, oh, the debt ceiling is getting bigger. It's such a problem. Our debt's increasing. We can't handle it. If we did not have growing debt, literally the entire system would collapse because it requires growing debt. And that doesn't just apply
It's
to the
because we're
government, that
we're in a
applies to the
Ponzi scheme.
individual.
We're in a Ponzi scheme or whatever. And if you don't keep on feeding into the Ponzi scheme, the whole thing collapses. Hey, sorry about that.
Flavor drop there.
Yeah, my internet dropped or something, I think. I'm not sure what
Yeah, no
happened, but
worries.
but yeah, if we could pick up, I will
Yeah, yeah,
trim
I'll
that
just
out. But
continue.
we're talking about like the Ponzi scheme of the debt and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's literally founded upon debt. Um, it is such that if there is no debt, if there's no growing debt, you always have to increase the debt. Otherwise, it can't sustain itself. It is built upon that concept, and that doesn't just apply to the government. It doesn't just apply to the government taking out money. It applies to the individual because most of the money created is through individual debt. Banks create debt
They
through
do.
giving you loans.
They
If
do.
you didn't know how loans work, they're not giving you their own money. They're
Yeah.
actually generating money from the Federal Reserve
Hmm.
to give to us. And so, what that means, if you understand what that means, if debt is not increasing for the individual, the system collapse means that your children have to have more debt. That means that your children have to own less. They have to work harder. It means your children and their children have to own less, owe more, and work harder.
Yeah. And
Not
of
a single
course,
person,
yeah.
not
And
a single person will say that they want their children to have less than them, that they want their children to owe more than them,
but
that they want
that's
their children to work harder than them. You ask someone what they want for their children, they want better for their children.
that's
But if it was a possibility that your children could have better than you, the entire system would collapse.
mhm.
And so it is an impossibility. Prosperity is an impossibility.
Given our current system, and this is all Klaus
Yes.
Schwab and the World Economic Forum, you will own nothing and you will like it, and you will basically be slaves to the machine. Those who survive after this global depopulation agenda that we're currently in, with all the sickness and
Yes.
chronic
Yes.
disease. Yeah.
So tying it in together, they've enslaved us through debt. They've made prosperity in impossibility. They are diseasing us. They're forcing disease upon us. They believe we are slaves and we are animals. They literally believe that. And our time of usefulness to them is coming to an end. And what happens when an animal is no longer useful to you? What happens when an animal is in the way of you? You put the animal down. And so we are being put down. We are being killed off. And it is, you can see it in the statistics. Diseases are on the rise. Lifespan is on the decline. Debt is on the rise.
Birth rates going
So
down, plummeting, and
birth rates plummeting.
fertility rates
And then they're and
plummeting.
then they're and then they're bringing in all these people who couldn't care any less about us when resources become a hardship, when the economy comes crumbling down. These people will not have any reserve but coming into your house and killing you.
Yep.
If you're one of the people who made it into the country and you think you're safe, first of all, disease is finding you. Disease is there because they have spread the disease everywhere. So there is
Everywhere.
no hiding. There is no freedom. There's no liberty, even in going away and hiding. It will find you. But furthermore, the people will find you and kill you. There is no getting away from this. There is no separating yourself from the system. I thought I could separate myself from the system. I moved out in the country. I was going to grow my own food. I was going to fund my own success through my own efforts. And for that, I almost died from parasitic disease that they have known about for 50 years at least. 20 years, they've known it's endemic here. And when I go to a doctor, they tell me, wait 3 weeks. There's a research paper, you can read the research paper that literally says that most people who are in critical condition with the disease that I had die waiting for the results. It's literally a recorded event that people die waiting to find out that they have the disease that they've known about for a long time. And they're not telling the doctors about, and a lot of doctors maybe know about it and don't care because they make so much money on treating your symptoms. So what I have to say to people is these people are killing you. They're going to successfully extinct our population. We are a people of freedom and liberty. We love God. That is the antithesis of their solution to the world. We are in their direct way because we do not accept their worldview, and we are going to be killed by them. We are their slaves, and they believe we are their animals. So if you are not a slave and you are not an animal, which I am not, I'm not a slave, I'm not an animal, I'm a child of God.
Right.
And if you are not immediately adopting a mind of resistance, if you're not immediately opening your eyes and waking up to everything that's happening around you, you are accepting your slavehood. You are accepting your animalhood. And quite frankly, then you're in the way of people like me and people that love God and love freedom and love liberty and want prosperity. You are in the way of us reaching that goal. And if you're accepting that you're an animal, I have to treat you as an animal. And that's the situation we're in, because otherwise I die. Otherwise, everybody around me dies. And it's not, a theory. It's not going to come, oh, it might happen, or like, oh, it's terrible. It's happening. It is actively happening.
It is
It is
actively happening.
we are all becoming diseased. We are all dying earlier. And another part of this is, because they're not, because they have all of these solutions that target symptoms that never really get rid of the disease. As you're dying off, guess what? They're stealing all of your money. They're taking all of the generational wealth that you have collected and that you could pass on to your children. They're taking that out of your pockets, and they are bankrupting you. And then your children have nothing. And their children's children have nothing. So they are taking away our ability to prosper across generations.
Mm-hmm.
And they are killing us before we have our time to a normal death is that your body just becomes weakened. You end up in a deathbed. You're there for a few months. You know you're going to die. And it's kind of like a peaceful thing where everybody can say their goodbyes. But now what happens is you die immediately. You have some heart attack. You have a stroke. You have a brain aneurysm, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you end up in like critical condition where it's like literally torture to be alive. These things are not the normal way to die. That is not the normal way to
No.
die. That is disease that has become prevalent in your body through a lifetime of exposure.
Yep.
And people need to stop normalizing disease. People need to
Yep.
open their eyes immediately wake up and immediately begin to adopt a mind of resistance because it's not going to be easy to free our people, to find prosperity, to have a future. It is not going to be easy. And after dealing with what I have been exposed to and it is a very traumatic experience to understand that things are sticking themselves in your eyes, eating your soul, living on your skin, uh, just traumatizing you and torturing you day by day. I have not had a single day of rest since I have become aware of this. And when I get rid of the plank in my eye, as Jesus said, and I have rid myself of these parasites, and I have uplifted myself out of debt, I still won't rest because now I am aware of what the world is doing, and I am going to devote my life towards putting an end to it. And one day that might mean having my life ended in that fight, and that is a reality that people must accept because otherwise their life will be ended for them. Because otherwise disease will find them. Otherwise they will be killed in the mass chaos that they will bring about. And you either die free or you die a slave and an animal. So my recommendation is to immediately recognize the condition that is forced upon you. Immediately open your eyes and immediately start adopting a mindset of resistance because we have to fight, and it's not going to be easy.
Well, yeah, you and I have been on the front lines for a while now, and yeah, it's been pretty exhausting, especially when most people are asleep to what's going on and just completely locked into their indoctrination, the matrix, whatever you want to call it. And it's challenging, but I'm not giving up this fight because
People
I'm
won't
not I'm not
accept
I'm
to
not, I'm
say
not
that they
dying a
have
slave
parasites
either,
even.
you know?
It,
Yeah, yeah. No, they
yeah,
firmly believe their immune system's attacking
I
itself
have,
for no reason. That it's just like their immune system's
yes,
dysfunctional. No, it's not. You have infections.
right. Right. Your immune system is freaking out because all of a sudden they're spreading into places that they weren't in before. Your immune system is freaking out because you're being exposed to things that you shouldn't be exposed to. Um, people, you can tell people straight up, you have parasites, this is what they're causing, and people will just not believe that even parasites are even a problem or they exist.
Yeah,
And then if they even do accept it, they'll rationalize in their mind that it's just a normal thing
mhm.
and that they have to live with it. You don't. You
Yeah.
do
They
not.
they they
You
give you that
can overcome
fluoride
it.
stare, right? The fluoride stare, like they're just like, huh? Parasites? Like too much fluorides. Fluoride's a neurotoxin, so it just makes you buzz out,
Well, the parasites also get into your
Oh
brain and they
yeah,
mess with your comprehension and they mess with your influences, they
yeah.
mess with your impulses, they mess with your perception. I have actually become able to literally, so the nematode Strongyloids gets up to 2 millimeters large, which is well within the range of sight for
Yeah.
people. However, they're clear-bodied, and because they're getting into your eyes, because they're getting into your brain, they're actually preventing you from comprehending and perceiving them. But since I've gotten rid of them largely off of me and out of me, I can actually, in certain circumstances, I can see them twitching around. It's like a refraction of light.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have heat wave in front of you, you can see the light kind of dwindling, but it's like microscopic. You have to really focus on it, and you can see them twitching. literally.
Once you
So
accept that they're there and you change your perceptions a
yeah,
little bit, you can identify them over time, but you have to change your
yes.
perception. Yeah,
You have to, yeah.
yeah,
You have to completely accept that there is a world underneath your nose that you have been lied to about, that has been suppressed from you, that there is an entire world right in front of you that
hmm
you're just not privy to.
hmm
And people are not largely unwilling to accept that they don't know what's going on,
yeah,
because people like to believe that they have an understanding of the world, and the fact is the understanding of the world that you have has been fed to you throughout your entire life,
yeah.
and you have to you have to reject the things you've been told and reanalyze and just rethink what is actual reality. And actual reality is a lot scarier than people have become accustomed to. It is a battle between spirits of good and evil. And evil is ruling us, it is controlling us, it is diseasing us, it is enslaving us, and one day it will kill us. So you have to accept that, but not accept it as an inevitability. Accept it as a fact of it is happening, and you have to accept that it is an un it is a condition which is unacceptable. It is an unacceptable condition to be in. And
Awareness.
when it's
You can't fight a problem until you become aware of it, and everybody needs to become
exactly,
aware of what we're dealing with.
that's the
Yeah.
first step. That is the first step, is recognizing the condition that is forced upon you. Um, since I touched on it, they get, parasites get inside of your brain. They get inside your brain. They attach themselves to your receptors. Um, I I didn't know that this was a thing until one of the ways, like I said way earlier in the interview. I've spent a lot of time figuring out how to kill them, how to kill them and how to rid them in my environment. And so one of the things I was experimenting with was frequencies. And what I found is, listening to them in your earbuds, it's an okay method. But the thing is, when you're only listening to your earbuds, you're really only getting a resonance on your eardrum. And so I have speakers, really good speakers. And if you want a resonance throughout your entire body, you need to focus the vibrations on your entire body, and it needs to penetrate through your body. And so, just as a method, I was trying to get them out of my clothes. I was trying to get them out of my body, off of my body. I wasn't trying to get them out of my brain because I didn't know that that was a thing. And so I was just experimenting with frequencies, and I was directing it towards me, and I was listening to it kind of high, but not too high that it would damage my eardrums. And one such frequency I was just listening to, and all of a sudden, in the center of my brain, it felt like I would describe it as where my pineal gland is. I've heard that be thrown around, that they get into your pineal gland, but I don't know exactly. I just know it felt like the center of my brain. It felt like almost like a pop, but also like a violent detachment. It felt like a violent removal from the center of my brain, and I became scared. I was like, did this frequency just like blow up something in my brain? And so I stopped listening to the frequency. And that night I went to bed and I tasted blood. I tasted iron in my mouth. And then I felt inside of my head poking and prodding, as if whatever I had detached was trying to return back to where it came from. And from what I can tell, it was unsuccessful and it probably died off. But this is a testimony that they do get in your brain, and they do affect your very thoughts. They affect your very behavior. They affect your ability to process and perceive information. And so, uh, one of the reactions I get from people from talking about parasites is an immediate like denial reaction, immediate I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to consider it. And going back to my when I was noticing these symptoms and I had it in my mind that it could be parasites, I even pushed it away.
Yeah.
I let it spread. I let it get worse. I didn't want to treat it. I didn't want to go get help. I believe that if you have parasites in your brain, they are injecting, a response to hearing about them, to seeing them, that makes you deny them. So
Absolutely.
if you're denying parasites, I would say that you probably have parasites because that is probably a symptom. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it evolutionarily. Does it enhance the prosperity of the host to deny something that is happening to
Yeah.
them? It
Exactly.
does
And
not. It
and the
only
same with people.
enhances.
Same with people with severe forms of clinical depression, treatment resistant, that goes on for years and stuff. They will say, and I was in this boat or whatever, that I would be lying down in bed, just bedridden with fatigue and depression, and I would spend 3 hours trying to get myself into the shower. Now, who does it benefit? Does it benefit the pathogens on my skin for me not to shower? Or does it benefit me to not to shower and just to stay in bed? You know in your brain that you'll feel better once you take the shower,
Yeah.
but you just it takes so much energy, and it's like the parasites are doing everything to keep you static and just sitting in bed rather than washing off all this junk from your skin.
Yeah, I had wool slippers, and when I was originally having these problems with parasites, and I was kind of even when I was treating it, I could feel tingling on my feet from wearing the slippers
Yeah,
for too long, and so
yeah,
I would take it out of the slippers because it was uncomfortable. But inevitably, I wanted to put my feet back in there. I wanted to put my feet back in there, and through my observations, because I've done a lot of research individually. Like I said, I had a microscope. I've really worked towards killing them in my environment. There is some kind of polarity that they have that pulls you and them closer together. I talked about how they were in my clothes. Well, I have through just coincidence. I have so I have linens and they're not static. I can wash them. They can be wet. They can be dry, whatever. I had them on very thin clothes hangers on a metal bar, and so that they turn readily. And if I would go and stand next to the clothes, they would literally turn towards me. I have this on recording. The clothes would turn towards me. And as I described way earlier, if they don't reach a host, if they don't reach a suitable spot, they will turn around. And so I have observed this. The clothes turn towards me,
wow,
and I feel a draw towards it. Like I want to put my body towards it. So they turn towards me, and then after like 3 minutes or so,
yeah,
then it turns away from me like rapidly. So they literally have a draw towards you, and you have
and
a draw
magnetic,
towards
yeah,
them
yeah,
through like some sort of magnetic
yeah,
polarity, whatever
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It exists, and they hold you towards those
Hmm.
spots, and through your brain impulses, they bring you back to
Yeah,
those spots of which they're infesting because it is most prevalent towards their existence.
yeah,
Um, things like even like a lot of people have a problem with like pornography and masturbation. These things, they will live on your penis, they'll live in your ass, they'll live on your scalp. And when you're doing that and you're injecting your seed, you're feeding them. And not only are you feeding them, you are evolution because they breed so quickly, they have such quick lifespans, and they have a very high evolutionary load, which means that they can change very rapidly across a few generations. And when you're feeding them your own seed, you are teaching them how to live off of you even better, how to eat your DNA, how to target you specifically. So disease is a problem that people are allowing themselves to be in, but they're also making worse by allowing their impulses through nematode um, uh, influence, they are making those nematodes more adaptive towards you and allowing that disease to become worse and worse. Um, I mean, pretty much everything that you do that is harmful to your health, harmful to your existence, it's usually an influence that is coming outside of your body.
I'm going to interject something here. These parasites also, not only do they feed off of glucose, sugar, they're also attacking our dopamine and our serotonin, our neurotransmitters. They're fairly, I
Yes.
hate to use the word simple organisms. They're very complex creatures, but they are limited in the neurotransmitters they can develop. And so dopamine's like the feel-good neurotransmitter. And so this is one thing that they're really after. And so then they will manipulate your behavior for you to either do behaviors like masturbate and stuff, or have anal sex that spike your dopamine because they want the dopamine hits, or push your behaviors to get dopamine artificially through drug use and such. So.
Yeah,
Um,
and a lot of the homosexuality stuff also it's influenced also not only by parasites, but it's influenced by the chemicals that they're injecting into your body. It's influenced by literal radio waves or energy waves that they're sending towards your brain. Um, I don't want to talk too much about what things that I've been experiencing with energy waves because people aren't ready for those
yeah,
sorts of things.
sure.
Let's open their minds to parasites
That's
first.
that's exactly where I've been with this whole thing, and that's why I focus with my platform and stuff on this, mostly on parasites, rather than getting into the whole frequency stuff and yeah, everything else.
Yeah.
But it's all tied together, and
That
it's
that
yeah.
is a it is a multi system that they are every single little thing that they are doing
Mhm.
to target you, to destroy you, to make you unhealthy, to influence your behaviors. It is all towards the end of our extinction.
Yeah,
They want
yeah,
us
and
extinct,
and and we're giving them
especially the
all.
American people.
We're giving them all our behavioral data in these data centers. They're collecting everything about us. They know where we go, who we're with, when we go, how fast we go places, like conversations. It's not just what you're scrolling, it's what you buy. It's what you eat, when you eat, how much you eat. They know everything, and they're collecting all this in all these data centers. And
Yes.
not
Yes.
to better your life and offer you improved
No.
services. No, no, this is part of the extermination plan. So, yeah,
And even if a company does use it to improve their product, they're sharing and they're selling that information to those entities that would use it to harm you.
and then
So
and
even if you have a company where you're like, yeah, that's a good company or whatever,
yeah,
that company is sharing that data. They have to share it with the government. It is
yeah,
it is
yeah.
just
Well, the NSA is
something that they
collecting
have to legally
everything.
do if the government requests it, but they are selling it to other companies. They are sharing it, and the people who want you dead.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry about that. My internet's a little
yeah,
unstable here. But yeah, you're exactly right. The NSA has ridiculous amounts of data on all of us. They know our what we're going to do and when we're going to do it better than we do. They can predict our behaviors better than we can. And it's scary stuff. It's Orwellian 1984 stuff.
I would say if they haven't caught on to what I have devoted my life towards, which is putting an end to them, and they don't come and kill me in the dead of the night, they're gonna live to regret it.
Yeah,
And I don't mean to bring that upon myself, but if they're not using that data to immediately put an end to my life, they will live to regret it. And they won't live very long to regret it, is what I would say.
yeah. I put my life on the line many times since fighting all this, and I know you have too. And obviously, we're not just going to roll over. So, but I'm hoping that we can get
Now,
some sort of divine justice, and rather than resort to violence, because violence begets more violence. But we'll see how things unfold. But I'm certainly not submitting. I'm no animal, and I'm no slave. So.
now. No, and I don't want people should not go and do random acts of violence. People should not go and become unruly and start just fighting on their own. Um, I would say that America was founded upon a certain kind of violence, and the people who committed that violence said that we have a responsibility. And so what I would say is first, just recognize your condition and start adopting a mindset of resistance. And like I said, it's not going to be easy. It is going to be hard, and we do have a responsibility to do something. And that something is not something that people want to say is a good thing. But these people, they are feeding us to animals. They are killing us, they are diseasing us, and they're not going to stop until we are dead. And justice is something that requires a certain amount of uh, retribution, a certain response, and it needs to be done in a I'm not going to say coordinated. Don't go and coordinate with people. Don't go, actively planning against the government because you will be killed, you will be
They
arrested, you
will
will
take you
be,
out.
destroyed. Yes, they will take you out. But you do have to be ready for something like that.
Yeah, be
Um,
prepared,
be prepared.
be aware of everything,
Yes.
and pass the word, and have these communications in person with other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah. The
and
first step,
spread the word, and it
the first step is just becoming
yeah,
aware of your condition, because once people are awake to it, they will not accept it.
yeah,
They will not accept it.
yeah.
The something I know you've dealt with as well as I have, just because of our sensitivity to these nematodes and like how torturous, being in contact with them is. I've constantly had the thought to, end my own life, to shoot myself in the head, just because, it's so much to deal with. But the only thing, my devotion towards an outcome that frees other people and saves other people from this mess, from the things that are happening to them that they are not aware of. When it becomes a problem, when it becomes like too much for me to bear, I just remember that it is a gift, literally a gift from God that he has made me aware of this. You know, being sensitive to them and when they stick themselves inside of me, it's literally like being stuck with little tiny needles. Um, Being aware of that and when they're going in my eyes and things like that, being aware of that, it's not a damnation. It is a gift,
Yeah.
literally from God, that we have become aware of that because it is happening to other people and they just don't know about it.
It's happening to everybody, and they just don't know it yet. And
Exactly.
it is it's a blessing and a curse, but
It's a
it's a
responsibility
responsibility. That's a good way of putting it. It's a responsibility, and
because we are aware of it. We have a responsibility to shepherd, to lead other people, to wake them up. Because if we do nothing, if we just exit, if we just remove ourselves, no one else will stand up. No one else will help other people. No one else will lead them in the right way. Other people, just as they are doing now, they will interject, they will pretend like it's something else, they will distract, and they will lead the people astray.
unfortunately, my
So it's a
internet.
responsibility that we are awake, that we have to let people know what is happening to them. We have to help them.
Let me cut out my video feed here. Hopefully that will help here. I wish I had better internet. I'm financially really strapped, so I'm limited on my tools here. I apologize about that, but you were cut out there in your epic speech and before, so it got real choppy. But you're truly an inspiration there, Hunter, and we do have a responsibility here, and yeah, and thank you for coming on and everything that you've learned and everything that you're sharing, and being a true shining light and a leader here and a shepherd
Thanks for having
of
me.
awareness, man. Yeah, it's a true honor. We connected for a reason, and it's truly a blessing to connect with other like-minded people here on the front
Yeah, I want to
lines of
say, like,
this.
you're the one who really Yeah, I just want to say that you're the one who really inspired me to take that stance because when I was first dealing with this, the only thing I wanted to do was get rid of it for myself and go back to a normal life. And then I saw, the things you were saying about, dealing with the same exact things and devoting your life towards, waking other people up and helping other people. That changed my mind, and I realized, that this wasn't the problem that I could just isolate to myself and go back to normal. This this is a problem that pretty much everyone is dealing with and that they become aware of and that they become helped because no one else is going to help them. So you are the one who really changed my mind on that and so you are the real inspiration.
Well, thanks, Hunter. I mean, I'm just doing, taking on my responsibility that was given to me, and I don't, I appreciate those kind words, but what keeps me going is hearing your testimony and others' testimonies like yours, and if I'd been fighting for my own life and a better life for myself, I would have given up years ago. I would have tossed in and thrown in the towel,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to quit until good wins, until the truth wins, the light wins. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Well, thanks for having me again.
yeah, thank you. It's a bummer my internet here stinks so much. I'm doing the best I can. I mean, when you met me, I was on the streets sleeping on a concrete slab behind a church, and
Yeah.
now I'm kind of I don't want to talk about it, but I could use some financial blessings and blockages. The system's done everything to take me out and or have me take myself out. And That's not going to happen. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to stop. It is what it is, and I'm making the most of it. I'm not going to let the enemy stop me. I'm not going to let my tool limitations stop me. So, we're really blessed to have this conversation. And it will reach, hopefully it'll transform a lot of people's eyes and wake them up. So thank you, Hunter. All right.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.